Thank you guys. Come on in. Come on in, everybody. We're getting set up on both devices. Come on in. As you guys come on in and say hi to me and Sean, we will say hi to you guys.
Hello, everybody. Happy Monday.
Look at her coming around. She coming around the mountain when she comes.
Hey, everybody.
She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. Hey, everybody. Listen, for those of you guys who have never been with us before, I am Candy Sincerity Johnson.
And I am Sean Johnson. Hi.
Together, we help you transform the life that you have to the life that you want while helping you to unlock your wealth potential.
Yes.
In the midst of us doing so, what we typically do, and we say it all the time, y'all see the name in the title.
Yes.
What we typically do is we take something that is either trending in news or very, very popular or a subject matter that we all know, and we take that and we look at it from a financial perspective. We break that thing down, girl, and we dissect it and we learn from it. We use that as a teaching moment.
Yes.
And so, girl, without further ado, girl, on the last video, they was like, girl, get to it, girl. So without further ado, let me give you guys the backstory. Mm-hmm. Can I give you guys the backstory on why this even came up again? Because Derrick Jaxn, for those of you guys who don't know, did you want to share a little bit about who he is?
Yeah, so Derrick Jaxn came on the scene years ago. He was, I guess you would want to call him like the love guru kind of. So he was a nice looking gentleman, okay?
Very handsome, strong man, girl.
Very handsome man. Okay, I think that's the reason why people gravitated towards him just aesthetically, okay? But his big thing was he liked to give advice to other men on how they should treat their women, how they should conduct themselves in relationships. He's wrote numerous books. He also had a great card game that was geared towards couples and things like that. And so that's who Derrick Jaxn is. If you've ever come across him on social media, you might have seen some videos from him, maybe even purchased a book or two from him, you know, all of the things. But that's who Derrick Jaxn is, okay?
So the reason why his name is coming up on tonight, y'all might be like, well, girl, what happened? Girl, that story been there for over a year.
Right.
So the reason why it came up tonight is because I was driving in the truck a couple of nights ago. I think it was the 4th. Now, today is the 7th, so the 4th would have been what?
Friday? That would have been Friday.
Okay, so it was Friday night. Show you right. It was Friday night. Girl, I was in line. I was going to give me a Baja Blast from Taco Bell. Judge a mama. Girl. So I was in line, and I got a notification that his wife went live on her Instagram page. So she went live on her Instagram page, and I had not seen anything from her in a long time. Usually when I get a notification that she goes live, I kind of slide it to the left, and I usually say I'm going to come back to it, and I never do, right? So I decided to click on the video of hers, and she was live with 2 other girls, and the topic was infidelity. And they were having what's called a wife chat, is what they were having. So there were so many things that came out of that conversation that had not been released to the public. One of which was during this whole ordeal of their scandal of infidelity, she was pregnant during that time. So if you could imagine, millions and millions of people all over the world know about your husband's infidelity. He's known as being this love coach that criticizes men for their infidelity. And you guys' marriage and relationship is under public scrutiny and falling apart at the seams. So if you guys remember, matter of fact, people was doing Halloween costumes of them, girl. But you know, if you guys remember that video that they did on the couch and stuff, where, you know, she probably looked slightly less than her best, because I've seen her look extremely beautiful on her Instagram. So you could tell that she was probably stressed out and everything. But girl, come to find out, sis was pregnant.
Yeah, I did not know that at all.
And she had just found out 2 days prior to that whole scandal becoming public that she was pregnant. And so it begs the question, and we could get into all the nitty-gritty details about what she shared on that interview a couple of days ago. But it begs the question, and I started looking at it from a financial perspective, and I was like, dang, I wonder if her saying, because she filed for divorce and then months later she recanted the divorce and you know, decided to stay with him. But I wonder if her staying was tied to finances.
I don't know, because if you think about a lot of people who have been in situations in their marriages or relationships where something happens, be it infidelity or whatever the cause is, that causes the person who wants to leave the relationship. Some people do say, what's the old saying goes, it's cheaper to keep her.
It's cheaper to keep her. That's what people say.
Some people decide to stay because they, in their minds, don't have a choice financially. Because they're like, well, that means that I have to leave the relationship. I have to start over, whatever that looks like. New place to stay, new place to live, new way of life, and all the things. And so some people do choose to stay financially and with the hopes of rebuilding and it getting better at some point. So now, whether this was her reason for staying, I mean, keep in mind, she was, like Candy said, she was pregnant. I did not know that until Candy told me when she found out.
Yeah.
So you have to think of the mindset that she was in when she has a baby on the way, and then she finds this out about her husband. So then do you then walk away from that situation and start all over with a new baby on the way?
Yeah. Totally.
That's a lot.
Totally. It's a lot. And you have, so when their scandal hit the fan, keep in mind, their scandal hit the fan and it was the height of the pandemic. Everybody's sitting around at home. Everybody's bored to tears and people ain't got nothing else to do. So people were consuming content left and right. So when it hit the fan, it would have been public regardless of a pandemic or not, but it was even more public because that was when everything was locked down. Girl, wasn't nobody going nowhere. Right. So, girl, I was just like, oh my goodness. I just did not see how he was going to be able to recover from it as it relates to his brand and his business. And so if I could be brutally honest, I searched high and low for his website and I could not find his website. His books and stuff are still available apparently on Amazon and other book resources. But it seems like, just from a very quick glance, it seems like there's a strong possibility that perhaps his business took a hit as a result of this very, very public scandal that happened to them over a year ago. But now what has happened is this wife that we back then didn't even know existed is now very public with her testimony and her story. And she has launched her own website. She's launched this whole ministry thing where she helps women overcome trauma that they face, infidelity in their relationships, and so forth. So she's on this whole massive movement for women and their healing. And so she pretty much described in the podcast, it was a really, really good episode. But she described that, she was publicly broken. Now she's healed. And that her goal is to help other women get through same or similar situations. And so, girl, I was like, oh my God. So there were women asking all sorts of questions. They were like, did you want to know all the nitty gritty details? And she was like, if I could be honest, I knew. She was like, I'm a seeker. She said, I'm one of those people where when something go down, I seek. I just keep digging. You know somebody who's a seeker? Who you know is a seeker? What did you seek?
I can relate to being a seeker. Okay,
girl, she's a self-described seeker, girl.
Because my thing is when my spidey senses go off and I feel like something is awry, I want to find out everything and anything that I can find out, so that if I do go to that person and they try to say something contrary to what I know, then I will know that they're not being honest.
Yeah. So, girl, she said, and I get it. And I remember experiencing that with you in our marriage. But I could just see the look on her face when she was going through the interview. And she talked about how she was pregnant. She had just found out she was pregnant 2 days prior to this hitting the fan. But she said she had been gathering information for over a year.
Oh, jeez.
She had been gathering information for over a year. So it was when the whole scandal blew up that she learned not only had her husband been cheating, not only was she pregnant with his their third child together, but she also had discovered that this woman had been in their house. Thus the pictures that were leaked. Remember?
Yep.
She had discovered that the woman had been in their house and likely the bed. Woo. You understand what I'm saying? So my question is, Would you say?
Child, go ahead and thank Miss Eugenia first.
Miss Eugenia, thank you very much for the stars. Anybody who want to give to the Church of Stars in Christ, go ahead and deposit your stars right there. Thank you very much for all of the stars.
So now these questions that Candy is going to be asking isn't just for me to answer, because we want this to be a conversation. We don't want this to be a monologue. Okay, y'all not just tuning in and watching a movie. We need you guys to also give your feedback as well.
Yeah,
Lisa said, I understand.
So the questions go both ways, to Sean and to you guys. Would you stay?
Yeah, would you stay? Tracy said we should overcome also. So she said, well, we all have our crosses to bear. Glad what could have destroyed her gave her strength to turn around and now help others.
That's it.
That's a fact.
That's it. That's
because
fact.
When I tell you the change that I have seen her, Erica, the changes that I have seen her go through in that amount of time, the strength that I have seen her exhibit is so commendable, because she could have very well easily just folded and just let it go and just crawled up in a hole somewhere and just went on. But the fact that she has turned this thing around, Miss Tracy, like you said, is admirable. Now, the question Candy asks is, would you stay?
Would you stay?
This is my thing. So I used to have the deal breaker. You know how everybody goes into a relationship and they're like, I have deal breakers. This is my deal breaker.
Yeah,
my deal breaker is blah, 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 right? My deal breaker at one point was cheating.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, listen.
Not so much. Because listen, once you find yourself in that situation, there's a few things that you have to think about. There's a few things that you have to contemplate once you get over your emotional heartbreak or whatever it is. Because you have to figure out, okay, and this is so controversial, because we've done videos like this in the past, honey. And when I say this, or when Candy says this, people be all up in arms in the comment section, okay? But my thing is, when something like that happens, you have to figure out, what part did you play? Okay?
Mm-hmm.
If you
talking to me?
If you are the recipient of infidelity, somebody cheated on you, you have to take the time to say, okay, what part did I play in this? Okay, that's number one. Number two is you have to figure out, was there anything that you potentially could have done that may have been able to avoid this situation? Okay.
Thank you, Miss Erica, for the stars. Thank you, Miss Dana, for the stars.
Yes. And so in that instance or whatever, would you stay? Well, I have to obviously say yes, because I stayed. Okay. I stayed, but let me make sure that I make this perfectly clear. My hands was not clean in the situation. Okay. So I'm not going to sit here and act like I was Miss Polly Perfect, because I was not. All right. So there was infidelity on both parts. Okay.
But did you stay for financial reasons?
So
financial security. Be honest.
I did not stay for financial reasons. I did not stay for financial reasons, because my thing is, I came from the hood, honey. I came from the south side of Chicago. I know how to start all over and have nothing to your name and try to rebuild that thing, okay? So would I have been willing to do that? Yes. Would it have sucked? Absolutely. But I would have been willing to do that, because I'm not going to stay in a situation simply for financial security, or because I feel, like financially this is the best situation for me. No, because A, that's selfish in my opinion, and that's unfair to the other party. That's what I think. Lisa said, I think they have to think about it and then get some contouring if they're going to work. Get some, I'm not sure if you meant contouring, Lisa, but counseling may have been what you were trying to say, if they're going to work things out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, according to the wife now, Denaia. Is it Denaia? Denaia?
I want to say, I thought it was a J.
This is how it's.
Oh, Denaia. Yeah. Denaia.
According to Denaia, she said that they have been through therapy, which I believe. I believe. She said that they have been through therapy, that he's done his work, she's done her work, and they're in a much better position. The daughter, the child that she was pregnant with at the time is now their daughter. Okay. They have 3 beautiful, healthy children, and they are on, a much better footing. But, there were just certain financial questions that just popped in my head as I was listening. And I was like, girl, number one, I asked you, and I asked you guys, would you stay, or did you, would you stay? Would you consider staying? The next thing that I would ask is, do you think this model for families still work?
As far as it being one breadwinner?
Yeah, the model of one person, whether it's the husband, the wife, or the wife, whoever. Right? Whether it's 2 wives, 2 husbands, a husband and a wife, a cat and a dog, girl. I don't care what you got, girl. But whatever it is, does that same model still work? Here's why I asked. Before you answer the question, think about your answer. Here's why I asked. It seems like ever since this public scandal, he still create content and he still release videos, but it don't seem like that business ever was able to rebound. It don't seem like his business was ever able to rebound. And it seems like she is now in the forefront.
Yeah.
And when you go to her page, you don't see that much evidence of him. You get what I'm saying? When she go live, it's all about her giving a woman's perspective and really just catering to and speaking to the woman. Almost like how Miss LaTrue started doing before she put her foot in her mouth.
Oh, yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So I'm asking y'all, do you think this business model works of one person going out getting the bag and then the other person, because look what happened with them.
Right. Formulate your answers, best friends. I have a few comments that I want to read that was related to the first part. So Dana said there are a few things that that are my deal breakers. If you bring someone in my house and if you create life, I'm out. No questions asked. So if you get someone else pregnant and if you bring them in the house, Miss Dana said, no, that's
Dana said she gone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tracy said, I'm a seeker and can relate kinda, but I can't hold water. So had I seen it, he would have known on sight. Couldn't contain myself to gather info or intel. Okay. Tracy said, once I know I can't, that's it.
Yeah. See, Tracy, I'm with you. It take a special kind of crazy where you can be sitting on this information and you gathering for like a year. You understand what I'm saying? Were you sitting on this information for like a year? That's a special kind of crazy.
That's just patience.
Patience.
That's patience.
Girl, how many times she was standing over that man while he was asleep?
Woo, child. And keep your composure to the point where he didn't even know that she knew. Think about that. Now that's some strength in itself.
Let me tell y'all a parable real quick, and it's related to the topic. One night, around the first of the month when the mortgage due, I had paid that mortgage that night before. I had to get up early that next morning to go take care of some business. My alarm went off early in the morning, something like 6, because I don't never get up at 6. I get up. We had a chair in the room on the other side of the room. You understand what I'm saying? Sean was over there in the corner of the chair and sitting in the chair. And that alarm went off. And she said, she was going through my phone.
No, I mean, that wasn't that situation. That was when I had asked you something. I can't remember what it was, but you looked at me like crazy. What is happening?
Listen. I don't know, but I'm telling you, don't play with seekers. You understand what I'm saying? People who say they seek, leave them people alone. That's a special kind of crazy. That's a special kind of crazy, girl. Special kind of crazy. Only thing gave me a little bit of grace was that mortgage was paid, girl. A little bit more, I'd have been done.
So Elise said, hey ladies, I wouldn't stay because once you allow that one time, it will never stop. So I will be out. And she said, I will be out of there.
Now, see, I'm going to have to push back on that because I'm a reformed cheater. I literally am a reformed cheater. I'm not a cheater anymore. And I don't know if it's, so for me, I think it comes with maturity. And this isn't true for everybody. Everybody's story is different. But for me, it was not worth all the headache and the pain and everything that came after. It just simply wasn't worth it.
Got you. What was your second question that you asked? Because I told them to formulate their answer and I got engulfed in their responses.
Does this business model, does this model still work for people?
I got you. So does one person being the breadwinner still work to this day? I feel like it can work. And I say that because there are still a lot of households where that is the case, where one person is the primary breadwinner. You got stay-at-home moms, you got stay-at-home dads, you got all of that, and I think that it can work. I think there's just a danger in it because you do put yourself in a situation where if something happens and you're the person that's not the breadwinner, you do kind of put yourself at a disadvantage. But I think that's where a lot of trust comes into play because you have to trust that person is not going to either one, hold it over your head, to take advantage of you or leave you out there in the world to just fend for yourself should something happen. And I just feel like if you're in a committed relationship, especially if you've been in a relationship for a long period of time, there should be that level of trust. Although we have seen tons of situations, you probably know people in your own personal life where you thought that their bond was like this, and then something happens and you be like, how could he do that to her? How could she do that to him? And vice versa, whatever. So, you know, when people's feelings get hurt, when things happen, it can change. But I don't feel like that should just be a matter of just abandoning that whole concept and that it just can't ever work. Because I feel like it still can.
Thank you for the stars, Miss Marla. Thank you very, very much for the stars. You know, so for me, I'm going to have to say it don't work.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna have to say it doesn't work more than it does. Right?
Okay.
You're always gonna give me that example. Well, it worked for my aunt and uncle, or it worked for my grandmother and grandfather, or it worked for me and my husband. But look at the big picture overall, right? You give me 100 households in America today, and I'm gonna say it don't work for 95 of them. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. 95% of people it don't work for.
Okay.
And it shouldn't work for. And it's not because I don't feel like the person can bring in enough money, but there's so many moving parts, right? So I don't know. I don't know. I think there's a danger, and I think you go down the rabbit hole of people wanting to stay in relationships because they financially don't have a choice, or financially, although they do have a choice, it would be harder. It would be harder on the kids. It would be harder on them. It just would be harder. And so a lot of people, I think, deal with stuff because there is a primary breadwinner that's carrying the lion's share.
So Lisa said what works for some people must not work for others because everybody's different. That's true. Every household is different. I know that works. Candy comes across that a lot when she does her consultations with couples and things like that. You know, what works for one is not going to work for the other.
Yeah.
But I guess we're kind of thinking of it more from a general standpoint.
Yeah.
You know, because there's always exceptions to the rule. You know, if you think of anything, there's always exceptions to it.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So I think that. So my question to you then is, if you had to consult somebody who was not the breadwinner and they were like the stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home dad, or whatever, what would you suggest them do if they're like, I can't, like, for example, if they can't work or whatever, what would you suggest that they do so that they're not put in that position where they're relying on that person 100%?
I would advise them to make sure. So even if you're not the primary breadwinner, chances are 9 out of 10 times you're the person who's paying the bills. You the person who's calling the light bill in, making sure the phone bill is paid, etc. I would walk he or she through all of the steps of the financial transformation, the whole, you know, going from deep in debt to having, you know, a surplus of money. So I literally will walk them through all of the steps that are outlined in the book, on making sure your money business, your money is taken care of, right? So even though you're not the person who's out there getting the bag, you still need to make sure both parties, not just the person with the check coming in, both parties have outstanding credit. You still need to make sure there's not a lot of debt. You paying that debt down, getting rid of that debt. You need to also make sure, you know, you working on having that emergency fund. You need to make sure you have a savings account, you know, with 6 to 12 months in that. You need to work on, what else would I do? I would work on investing with them. I would work on everything else. Why? Because should an emergency go down, then all you have to do is plug in the income piece.
Gotcha.
You get what I'm saying? It's too hard for me to take you from 0 to 100. If you come to me and you say, hey, I've been dealing with this abusive situation. My husband has really been abusive. My wife has been really abusive. My spouse cheated. I don't want to be here anymore. If you come to the table and you got a lot of debt, y'all got a lot of debt, you know, your credit is bad or you don't have any credit, it's going to take us a lot of time for you to even be able to qualify for an apartment. Can I be honest with you?
That's true. That's facts.
If we're working on something where no matter what, you still got good credit coming in, you know, I mean, you still got good credit, you still got, you know, a low amount of debt or no debt, then at least if something happened in the future of y'all relationship, because things might be great now, right? But if something were to happen, you're not making a decision based on need. You're making a decision based on want. That makes sense? You never want to put yourself in a position where you're completely reliant on anybody. I would say the same thing to Sean. I would say the same thing to myself. I would say the same thing to the kids if they were adults. You never want to put yourself in a situation where you're completely relying on anybody. Because then when something happened, then you're sitting there making a decision based on what we think may have happened in their situation.
Gotcha.
Right? Yeah. Now, going back to the video that we did last week about La Truth and Miss La Truth, has she not did that live where she said that she had paid the bills most of the time? Girl, I would have bet.
Right.
I would have bet the way that he presents himself that he was the primary breadwinner in their dynamic.
Which we found out that wasn't.
Which we found out was a whole fallacy, girl.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Ms. Latasha, thank you so much for the stars.
Thank you very much for the stars, Ms. Latasha.
So Dana agreed with you. She said, no, that model does not work.
Yeah.
She said, I totally agree, Candy. Unfortunately, people are not always mature enough, respect the balance and the other person's contribution. So she agrees with you.
I'm telling you, yes.
Also, Lisa said that's why all of the celebrities that's in Hollywood, they have a pure natural agreement, and I don't blame any of them. Okay?
Yeah.
Tracy said, Candy, your perspective is definitely eye-opening and respectable. Rhonda has a question. She said, do you have separate bank accounts and also a joint account? Are you talking about us, or are you talking about like in general? Like, should people have a separate account or a joint account? Let us know, Rhonda, if you're asking us specifically, or if you're asking in a general nature.
Because our answer is yes and yes.
Yeah, it is.
Yes and yes. Girl, we got separate, we got joint, we got so many accounts. We got the business accounts.
Yeah.
Plural.
Plural.
You know, I mean, we got the kids accounts. We have a lot of different accounts, but I believe in separate money and I believe in together money.
Yeah.
Okay. I believe in separate money and I believe in together money.
And in the financial transformation ebook that Candy refers to, we talk about different models. Like different ways that couples can do that. Is it a joint? Is it not? Is it, you know, how do you do that? Do you do 50-50 when you pay your bills and all of that? So we go real in depth in that in the financial transformation ebook.
Yeah.
Rhonda said in the beginning he probably was a breadwinner until she built her followers.
Yeah, she built her following, and then she has that boutique, girl. That boutique. Now I don't know how it's doing, you know, since everybody had discovered that they back. You know,
I think it's going well though. Because when I see she does a ton of reels when it comes to her boutique, she's wearing the clothes, she's doing videos in the clothes, she's taking pictures in the clothes and all of that. And she gets a lot of engagement.
Yeah. So she has a huge following.
Yeah, she does. She has a huge following. And, you know, and she's pretty. You know, she's beautiful when she puts on the clothes and everything. So I think that her boutique is doing well. I was intrigued to see the direction that she went with the infidelity boot camp though. I was a little intrigued in that because I think that you put yourself
Denaia.
Yeah, because you put yourself in a position where you can get scrutiny. Because it's always somebody's going to say, well, how can you tell me how to do that? Because blah, 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 blah. You know? But I think, like Tracy said earlier, I think it's commendable that she took that strength and is turning it around to help other women through that, whether they decide to stay or not, you know?
Yeah. I wish we could have had a conversation with her because I have a lot of respect for her. If I could be honest with you, she dealt with scrutiny from millions of people that did not know her, had never met her. People were judging her based on her physical appearance. People were comparing her to the young lady that he had the infidelity with and just saying all kind of hurtful, mean things. So it almost made me stop in my tracks when I learned that this woman not only went through this, but she went through it and was pregnant. Because it takes me back to how emotional I was when I was pregnant. It's like, if you could imagine like how emotionally sensitive you are on your cycle and you times that by 10, you know what I'm saying? And so, and then on top of that, couple that with all of the lies that he was telling. And, you know, all of the, you know, like it was just crazy.
Yeah.
So to see that she was able to go behind closed doors, privately heal from everything that they had experienced. She said they went through a lot of therapy, a lot of counseling, spiritually. She always talks about her faith, being a Christian, etc. But she was able to really find her own voice. Mm-hmm. And I'm proud of her because the internet can be a cruel, mean place. Yes. And if you're not 100% sure on who you are, girl, the internet will eat you up. Will eat you up and spit you out. Girl, we say all the time, girl, the internet is undefeated. Girl, every time she plays, she wins. Okay? Mm-hmm. The internet is undefeated. And so if you are not 100% sure on who you are, the internet will have you for breakfast. Mm-hmm. And she never wavered. With all of the criticism and all of the fallout and everything, she found her voice and she found her tribe. And she's building her community over there on Instagram, because I just follow her on Instagram. But she's building her community on Instagram around her story and what's important to her. And I'm proud of her. Mm-hmm. Because she's not appealing to everybody. Right. She's making the call and she's making the offer to the woman, the Christian woman, or the woman who has found herself in a similar situation and, who wants to get to the other side and mm-hmm. wants to get led to the other side of things by somebody who's been through it. Yeah. So I commend her. I wish her the best. My advice to her would be very careful. Mm-hmm. Because without getting into their personal financial business, because we don't have access to any of that, I would just make sure, I would tell her to be cautious and just make sure he's there for the right reasons. Because if he's on a sinking ship, being his business is now suffering, but her business is now thriving, mm-hmm. just make sure, it's beneficial.
So do you believe that since everything happened, you believe that now the tables have turned and now she's the primary breadwinner?
I wouldn't be surprised if that later came out. At some point, I would not be surprised if she was the primary breadwinner. Because, when I first started following Derrick Jaxn, he had a warehouse. Mm-hmm. He was shipping books out of a warehouse. He had a full team. His card game had just been launched. And everybody and their mama was talking about him and his business. To the point where me and one of my exes, T, girl, had a whole knockout, drag out discussion about him because he kept presenting himself as this single black man. Mm-hmm. And so one day I was over her house and one of his videos had popped up. And she was quoting something on his video and making reference to it. And without me knowing any of what later came out, because her and I weren't even on speaking terms then, but it later fell out the bag that he was married. But I remember sitting on her couch saying, that's the kind of dude that have a wife and a house full of kids at home that you don't know nothing about. Mm. Usually the people who be pushing the most information in your face have a whole different situation behind closed doors. And I was like, we see it all the time in church with pastors. Wow. It be the pastors that preach the hardest that's got the biggest skeletons in the closet behind that same topic. You get what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That they preaching and shoving down your throat. They be the main ones talking about infidelity and this and that and homosexuality, and they be the main ones sleeping with the deacon. You get what I'm saying? I'm telling you. So like I told her, I said, you have to be very careful. I said, you need to work on your spirit of discernment. Mm-hmm. You have to be very careful who you listening and regurgitating advice from, because their household might not be clean. They doorstep might not be clean.
Right. Ooh, child.
And lo and behold, it was so interesting, y'all. I thought about texting her when everything fell out the bag, girl, because it was in the middle of the pandemic, girl. I thought about texting her saying, girl, did you see your boy? Right. The one that you put on the pedestal that you thought so highly of. But I said all that to say, I wouldn't be surprised if the tables have now turned. It's something about them tables, y'all. Mm-hmm. Y'all understand what I'm saying? It's something about them tables. Them tables turn, girl.
Them tables is on a swivel, honey.
Girl, them tables turn. You have to be very careful how you do your partner. Because that same person that you cutting down might be the one to save your life. Mm-hmm. Might be the one to save your life. Yeah.
Rhonda said, why can't influencers just tell people to inbox them to get more in depth for a fee? I would not want to air drama on social media unless I'm helping someone like a psychologist for a small fee. Usually you have to air someone's business, and that's not fair. Well, I think that for her, I don't think it's a situation of her wanting to air anybody else's stuff. I think she's genuinely wanting to help others through what she went through.
Well, I guess my follow-up question would be, is that directed towards me or is that directed towards Derrick's wife?
Oh, Denaia.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Cause like my response would be different. Cause I would say for me, again, going back to what I said on the video we did a while ago, I put the medicine in the candy.
Oh yeah.
Right? We've tried it both ways. If we just went live and I just gave, hey, here's what you do, to get out of debt. Here's how you fix your credit. People didn't like that. Mm-hmm. Right? We would get a fraction of the people watching. It's when you relate it to something or somebody that they're familiar with and you tell the story through that lens, mm-hmm. right? That people learn. People learn better and they start to apply it.
And they become more engaged.
Yeah. But as it relates to Denaia, am I getting her name right? I feel like I'll be tearing up names.
No.
As it relates to Denaia, I feel like what she did was she turned her tragedy into a testimony, and now it's going to be something that she profit off of. Mm-hmm. Which I tell women to do all the time. I tell people to do that all the time. If you're going to go through something, the best thing you can do is learn from it and put it together in a story that's going to help people, but that's going to advance you to the next level. Yeah. You have to do that. We as human beings don't go through things just to get to the other side and forget about it and keep trucking forward. Mm-hmm. You went through that storm to tell somebody else on the other side of that tunnel, sis, you might want to pack an umbrella, put your rain hat and your rain boots on, because it's gonna be a downpour when you about halfway through this thing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like we're designed by nature to help others. Mm-hmm. But it's also nothing wrong with financial, prosperity.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So yeah, that was the whole situation for me was very interesting just to see how the events turned and everything like that. But I can't do anything but take my hat off to her. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was pretty much it. I don't know. When I seen it a few days ago, I was like, we have to talk about it. Mm-hmm. We have to talk about it. But I'm telling you guys, regardless of what stage you're in as it relates to your personal finances, we created the Financial Transformation, Your Guide to Wealth. It takes you from being broke, with bad credit, deep in debt, all the way to being debt-free, having a fully funded emergency fund, and getting to the point where you're investing now. You putting money out there with the purpose of making money to bring back to you, to grow your family, your household, etc. So that's what we created, and that's what I think best connects this video and everything that we've talked about tonight. Absolutely.
It's because, girl, we can talk about everybody else's money, but if we're not pointing you in the right direction to get yours together, we will be doing you a disservice. Sean and I took everything that we had learned with our financial and insurance careers over the years, and we packaged that and put that together in a digital book that you can immediately download if you go to our website. So the website is CandySincerityJohnson.com. Go to the website and you'll be able to find the financial transformation there. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hey, Alicia. So what I like to do at the end, and I always put Candy on the spot, does anybody have any questions? Because she always, like she said, she put the medicine in the candy, okay? She gives you a topic, she talks about it, she gives you some actionable items, some nuggets to walk away from, and then I like to open it up. Does anybody have any questions that you want to ask Candy about? Thank you so much for the stars, Ms. Robin.
Thank you, Ms. Robin.
Any questions about, financial questions or anything like that, especially related to this topic as far as, how you should, model your finances and stuff like that? Does anybody have any questions? We usually take, 3? Mm-hmm. You take 3 questions, and then we will go from there. And then I also like to tell people, because some people sit and scratch their head and they have questions, and without fail, it happens almost all the time. will get off the video and then her inbox be buzzing.
Yeah.
Because people have questions that they didn't necessarily want to ask in a public forum, and that's fine. But that's when you can go ahead and book her for an hour consultation too on the website. So you can always get her full attention, focus just on you, and you can get as transparent and honest as you want to about your situation, and she can walk you through that. Let's see. Lisa said, I do have a question. Do you think personal stuff is for... Hold on. Let me make sure I get it right, Lisa. I have a question. Do you think personal stuff between a couple or a friend should stay off of social media? Okay, I think I got what you're saying. So basically, you're trying to figure out, should that information be on social media? I'll let you answer, and I have my answer too.
So I think it depends on the couple, right? I think it depends on the couple. There have been aspects of our relationship and marriage that we've shared online. But we also have a book that I wrote and Sean edited for me, you know what I mean, that talk about those things. Anytime we share a personal story, it's solely with the goal of it helping somebody else, right? Like, one thing, because you'll find that I'm very private by nature. So I'm not going to just sit and tell you every aspect of my life, because people are very judgy. Like I said, the internet, girl, is not always a kind place. So if I do have that moment of vulnerability and we share something, it's with the intent on it helping somebody else, should they ever find themselves in a similar situation.
Alicia, thank you so much for the stars, love.
Thank you very much for the stars.
Marquita wants to know, what is a good way to build your credit?
So there's a couple things that you can do to build your credit. You can get credit cards. Credit cards are very, I'm not going to say they're dangerous, but be careful with credit cards. Everybody is not designed to use a credit card, because a lot of people will say, oh, put your bills on a credit card and then pay it off within 30 days. But statistically, we know 87% of people don't do that. And so with that being said, credit cards are a good way if you can exercise self-control and self-discipline with those credit cards. So you can use credit cards to build credit. What else? If you have a mortgage, then that's, of course, helping you. If you have a car payment, then that's helping you if you're making those on time or early payments. So there's a bunch of things that you could do to start to build credit or to maintain good credit.
Yeah. Okay. So that was 2. Anybody else have a question? And then that would be our 3rd.
This is the part of the video where I always like to serve. We appreciate you guys rocking with us. Thank you to everybody who has been making purchases on our websites, both websites, actually, if I can be honest with you guys. A lot of people have been wanting to improve their finances, so they've been hitting the website, grabbing their ebooks, and I greatly appreciate you. We've also seen a lot of people that have been booking calls with me. So thank you very, very much. I've been enjoying doing those coaching calls with you guys as well.
That's what's up. All right. Well, it does not look like we have another question. So I will let you close us out. I appreciate this conversation. Like somebody earlier said, very informative as always.
Thank you. Thank you. Don't keep us a secret, guys. You guys know what to do. Definitely don't keep us a secret. So we appreciate all of our new best friends that have been joining us. We love you guys.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yolanda said, Sean, what was your response to question number 1? I sure did. I didn't even say nothing, did I?
Oh, yeah.
So this is my question today. So should personal stuff be shared on social media? Like Candy said, we always did it. We did it for entertainment purposes, but it was also to help other people through certain things. Yeah. Because a lot of people will come to us always and be like, you helped me and my partner through a difficult time, or you helped me through a challenging time, or whatever. So I feel like, a person can share whatever they want to share. Some people do it strictly for content purposes. Some people do it to help others. Some people do it because maybe they don't have anybody else to talk to, and social media is like their outlet. It's like their own personal diary. So I don't see anything wrong with it. What I do have an issue with sometimes is when they talk negatively about other people, because we shared stuff about our relationship and the difficulties that we faced and stuff like that, but we never once degraded one another. So I think that's where sometimes I have a problem with it. But
or anybody else that was involved.
Yeah, or anybody else that was involved. Yeah. But I honestly feel like, do what you want to cool. Like, if you want to go and put all your business out in the streets,
yeah,
by all means. But I will say, just be prepared. Because if you put yourself in a public forum, okay, you have to understand that people are going to give their opinions. And they are entitled to their opinions, okay? I just ask that people be respectful with their opinions. So that's my thought. You know, I'm not going to condemn anybody else for sharing their personal business, because I would be a hypocrite if I did that, because we shared ours.
Yeah, yeah. Because I think we started to share when a lot of people were like, "Oh my God, me and my wife want to be like y'all." I was like, "No, you don't, girl. Flag on the play. Be careful what you ask for."
Yeah.
You know, or people would be like, "You know, I wish my husband would treat me like you treat Sean." I'd be like, "No." No, not exactly. So we would give the backstory, you know, because at the end of the day, you know, we always say we're two imperfect people just trying to figure it out. The only thing about Sean and I and why we were able to last all these years is because we just keep showing up to keep trying. So I don't know if that's because of Kendi and Caleb. I don't know if that's because we can't find nobody else. Girl, I don't know what, you know, but we just keep showing up, girl. We just keep showing up. So
right.
Yeah.
Alicia said there's an audience for all of it on these apps, and like you said, there will be feedback, invited or uninvited.
Yeah,
there will be.
That's the thing.
Tracy wanted us to share the website. I did just share the website because a couple of people were asking for your website. So it's CandySincerityJohnson.com. I did type it in the comments for you guys as well, so that way it's easier for you to just click the link and it'll take you straight to the website. Phyllis, thank you so much. I appreciate you for
thank you very much
getting us out there to other people,
to the world.
We appreciate you. So
yeah,
but yeah, so that's my answer to number one. Thank you, Yolanda, for bringing that back around, because I just kept moving.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll let Miss Candy do her outro, honey, and do what she do, and we will go from there.
So as I always say, the absolute best is yet to come, but baby, we got work to do. Y'all have a good night.
Good night, best friends.